Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese episode 543. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Sellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games, brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week, the list continues with Civilization 6. Matt, what's your favorite Civilization? When you were...
I thought you were going to go a different direction with this, to be honest with you. Favorite civilization? Yeah, just any of them? All throughout history?
Any of them. When you were learning history in school, what was your, that would have been cool to live then?
None.
Have you been to any museums and you're like, I like that?
I like that stone from that era.
Yeah. Any stones from any eras that you like in particular?
Not particularly,
Well.
Oh, I'm a millennial, full in, full out. I fully embraced it.
None of it fascinates you?
I mean, sure. But not to say everything's not fucked now, but everything was fucked back then.
Oh, but that's the thing about history. Everything is always, right? We just keep doing the same stuff. I just watched the Y2K documentary, and when you listen to everything everybody was saying about Y2K, it's the same stuff everybody says about AI right now. You know what I mean? We're just doomed to repeat the same things forever. Which is why I don't know, man. I always like ancient Egypt and ancient Rome. All that stuff. All the art and the ingenuity, I think, is the stuff that always impresses me. It's like how complex things were while still being so simple. Comparatively.
Yeah.
What direction did you think I was going to go with the icebreaker?
I thought you were going to ask, if you were a civilization, what would be your perk? What would be your go-to? What would you be known for?
Oh. I don't know. Probably, if it's me, some sort of neutrality. I feel like that tends to be my thing. I feel like I saw that in myself playing through Civ 6. Spoilers, but I tried to just always be friends with everybody and what do you need? Yeah, sure, you can have that. Can I have this? Let's make it fair, but let's be friendly to one another. It was very much a, bummer anytime I was denounced by any other civilization. What would your trait be? What would your sort of perk?
A retaliatory era.
I saw that firsthand. Yeah, that makes sense.
First 10 turns after being declared war on, you get a manufacturing boost.
Perfect. We are talking Civilization 6 this week, developed by Firaxis Games, right here in Maryland, Matt. Do you know that?
I sure did.
Published by 2K Games Incorporated. First release for the PC, October 21st, 2016. It also hit Mac just a week later, or a few days later, and hit consoles within the next few years. Back of the box. Build an empire that stands the test of time, from the Stone Age to the Information Age. Make your mark on history and build your greatest civilization. Explore the world, achieve cultural enlightenment and scientific progress. Wage war, Matt, or make peace, me. The path to victory is the one you determine. So, this was your first Civilization experience.
Proper.
Sure. And you added Civ to the list this year. So what was the impetus for this?
I saw a lack of strategy games, for one. But no, Civilization, this game has always been one that has intrigued me. I think it is it is such a video, of course this is a video game. You make an empire, you battle other empires, and you go for some kind of a victory, which I think is the cool thing. Also, I don't know, I like the idea of always playing Risk as a kid. I've only played like 2 legitimate games of Risk where we actually kind of saw a if not the conclusion, where it was going, and we kind of just said, all right, we lost or we won, whatever. But no, it's that, but like on steroids, and there's just so many layers and layers and layers and layers. And it's one of those games where I think you learn something new every time you sit down and play it. And I think you can continue to do that for countless thousands and upon thousands of hours. I'm not even just talking about like a dumb, like a Dota, like a dumb mechanic that cancels another dumb mechanic. Like this is like a legit, like, oh, I didn't know if I did this with this civilization, and it's such an advantage to my like it. There's so much just strategy involved. That was kind of like.
Did you know there was that much depth before playing it?
Yes, I did. I've seen. Funny enough, I had seen this played like the YouTube channel that I watched. Back in the day, did a Civ run, so I was like familiar with the concepts, but it was an older. I think it was Civ 4 that I played, so not everything applied over. But no, I got the sense of like you can go for these different victories. It's not all just world domination. It's this you have to strike this balance or find what you're good at and lean into it and try to win that way. That's a lot of the reason of me picking this game. I did my loose link back to I don't even remember what my loose link back to the game was at this point. Trying to figure that out. I forgot to bring that up before we started. Oh, yes. It's kind of tying it back, I think, to both of my Wii Sports killers, like Tetris Effect and Super Mario Galaxy 2. This is just like one of those games that's just, it's been around forever, and just entry after entry, it does new feature to or some kind of twist to it or whatever, but like it's just a killer app each release in its own way, and just continues to thrive each time there is one. And that's just the base game, not to mention all the fucking expansions and DLC you can get. It's nuts.
So, what was your first experience jumping into this? What was your onboarding? What was your...
I did their tutorial. It had been a bit, so I said I'd like watched it play, but it wasn't like recent. This was years ago. So, I kind of understood the, like, you get a worker, start doing the land, you get a scout, and the tutorial was like reinforcing this. But like once you kind of got started, I didn't know where to go because things were different. I remember the Civ I was watching was like he had workers building roads like in every tile, which is not how it's done in this game. You need your trade routes in this game to build the roads. So I was just trying to get the lay of the land, and then the tutorial was like kind of taking me in a certain path, and of course, like that's one of 1,000 paths or scenarios I could play out. But no, I kind of got my feet wet with that. I think I didn't get terribly far. I would say I probably opted out before like the industrial era or whatever, but I didn't see that game through because I just don't think it was one of those games where you're not good at anything, so you're not going to win. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of opted out. But yeah, no, each time I really got into this, I would say I was probably playing the majority of this game in December. And man, I got real into it. And there was a lot of games I didn't see through because, again, you kind of like midway through, you kind of get an idea of what you're good at, and then you start meeting the other civilizations. You can kind of take a look at the leaderboards, depending on how your again, more layers upon this. Depending on how your delegations go and what you know, you kind of see the leaderboard. And you're like, the one thing I thought I was good at, I'm like third place in. It's not going to happen. And because this game has a very real chance of snowballing real quick if not going the right way, or going the right way.
It can, no, of course, one turn of events can really change the course of history. Get it? But you're absolutely right. Like, that was the thing. Like, in my notes, I have screenshots from one of my playthroughs where, like, I was feeling pretty good about where I was at. And then I start meeting other civilizations and slowly realize, like, oh, there's this. But the thing I found difficult, and I think to your point, like, you really just do, and I put this in my review for the game, like, Civilization is a game about managing your own failure. Like, you have to fail at this game repeatedly, because there's a tutorial that'll teach you kind of how things work, and there's an in-game encyclopedia that you can read through to learn every element of everything of this game.
And it has keyword search. That's how you know it's expansive.
Yes, it's and you need to do those things if you're ever going to, like, really get deep. And I think that's the part that will probably scare people away from trying this because of how deep it is. But to that end, I did not do a ton of that. I went in, I did the basic tutorial, and I let it run until I think it was like maybe turn 185 or 187. I know I didn't make it to 200 because I specifically was sitting down and I was telling myself, I remember doing that game, I told myself, like, all right, I'll go until turn 100. And turn 100, like, was super quick. And I was like, all right, I'll play till 200 and then I'm going to go to bed or something. And I didn't even make it to 200 before that game. I just got, like, a game over because, what was it? The one idiot. Trajan?
Oh, I don't know the leaders that well yet. I just know Gandhi, and
he denounced me repeatedly and then eventually declared war, and I had no resources to counter him. And yeah, I lost my first city, like, right then, and it was like 1310 AD, and then right after that I just lost everything. Game over. From there, though, so you took your defeat, kept diving in, and keep rinse, repeat, learn from this. I went to a tutorial at that point, like, here's your top 10 tips from a guy who likes
so
and yeah.
I did that as well. I don't want to.
Okay.
Then there's also, I haven't written my full review yet. I haven't scored, but not full review. It will be mentioned in there about. That's probably the best way to approach this.
Yeah, and, like, for me, the day that I sat down and did that, I remember feeling like, why do I have to do homework to play a game? Like, why do I have to do so much just to, like, play? And I do think that's a detriment to the game. Like, the game, it takes a lot of investment to really understand it and have fun. There's not, like, a short version of this that you can kind of, like, I don't know, like, you can start to see little successes, but your failures happen so swiftly and so harshly that, like, it's tough to feel like part of that good gaming feedback loop where, like, even other strategy games, like, there's a mission structure, right? Like, when you play through, and I'm basing this just on my own history with things, but, like, you play through things like Roller Coaster Tycoon or Halo Wars, like, one, Roller Coaster Tycoon, yeah, you can just do the sandbox mode. But there are missions where it's like, hey, get a park to this level of blah, blah, blah by year 3. So you have an objective, you have a very clear, finite thing and whatever. It's like not that much time investment, but it teaches you the core things about that game. Like, open this type of ride, do this type of thing. In Halo Wars, like, the missions are small, the stakes are much lower, so you get to learn the core elements of, you know, unit management and resource management and those types of things. This, it's kind of like, I think the progression of a session in Civ or a game in Civ, it does do those things gradually, but there's that point where it just tips.
Yeah, it's weird because a lot of the games, like, have this, like, exponential curve of just, like, knowledge or whatever. I feel like this is one of those ones that just stays, like, flat. Like, you're gonna have to kind of take each turn and see what's happening around you, then you just kind of learn what's happened. But I don't know. I feel like this is one of those things. This is one of those games where it's not going to be for everyone, and that is the way it is, and we've seen more than enough games on our list where it doesn't appease one of the three of us or whatever. But man, if you want to get into it, like, I don't take advantage of the information age or the modern era we are in, and just dedicate like to a 10 to 20 minute video instead of the 50 hours that would probably take to catch up to that point.
Yeah. Or better yet, I've got some tips that I learned from that, and I'm sure you do too, that can help people who've never played a Civ and just want to jump right in. So, and this is Civ 6 specifically, because there's differences in between the games. I played a bit of Civ 5 about 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago. And this is kind of where these games go for me. Like once every couple of years, in this case a decade, I kind of get the itch to play one, and dive in hard and fast. And then immediately I'm gone, right? Like I don't think I'll play another one of these for a bit. I don't know. I still have a little bit of an itch with this game just because of I didn't get the win this time around, so I want that. You know, as many sessions as I did, I never got there. So I still feel like I have unfinished business. But what were the big kind of early tips you found?
Mine is sending the scout is so important, and just learning how to use a worker, like getting and knowing how to improve your tiles in optimum ways. I would say that's like a good early tip. And then like the second one, I don't know, I feel like this is so dumb, but it's also one of the most advanced features of this game. Just get to know the menus. Like click around the menus, see what each one is telling you, and get an idea of like, all right, I should go to this one every so often. I should check this one every turn. And I should keep these, like, because they have the little filters on the bottom for the world map for you. It's like, I should keep these filters on. I should check this filter every few turns. I should check this filter every 30 turns. Like, it is just, it's somewhat clean UI. Like, I can't get, it's busy, but it's not. But man, if you wanted to get crowded and know every single detail of what's happening, that to your knowledge from what you've obtained from your civilization, like it is all there. You just have to go digging for it.
Yeah, I made sure one of the tips that I found early on was to turn on the like showing yield in your map options, but also making sure that you can see everybody's progress in the top right at all times. So you can always see, like, any civilization you've met, you can see exactly where you stand in terms of military, science, culture, gold, faith, all of that. The thing that I learned quickly was taught in this tutorial that really helped me after struggling for a few rounds was just settle immediately. Because I kept doing things where, like, I settled and I made a city. I made my first city, and you kind of do that within your first turn. You kind of have to. First, you should, right?
Should.
Yeah. But I was taking my time before settling second, third, fourth cities. And by the time I'd start to go out and do that in some of my earlier rounds before learning this tip, I would start running into other civilizations who had all of this land, and I had very little, and then therefore little resources and all of that. So one of the tips I learned early was like, found a city, start production on your next settler, and found another city, and found another, like, just keep going and just go wide quickly. And then you might have differing, this was not a recommendation I learned from a source. This is just something I observed while playing, and maybe you'll differ opinion on this or not, but I found that it was useful to make sure each of my cities, maybe I had some crossover in production, but like one of them was my science hub, one of them was my culture hub, one of them was my religious hub, that kind of stuff. Especially the run that I did where I made my own religion, the calling of the swamp. I made sure that like I really had a core religious city. That was where I was producing the most missionaries and whatever the other apostles and whoever else you can create. And then once I'd build that up, I would then kind of start, okay, this city, I'm going to put a little bit more investment into like getting the whatever like religious buildings and things you can put and build up the faith here. But like, it was really like early on, I made sure that like all of my production in this city is going into whatever resource I needed the most.
I think I did slightly different approach. I think kind of getting started. I agree with you in this game, which I think is different than other civilizations. Like, this is very much about like get wide with as many cities and don't worry about the population. Because too much population, it gets real hard to find amenities for them or keep up with the amount of amenities you would need. So it stunts your growth, and you're not like, it doesn't matter anyway. So kind of go, not that you can't grow your cities, but like, don't make that a focus on one city. Go wide. That was definitely a thing. And then like with that, I would just try to kind of pull up that one window that would kind of give you the breakdown of like what's going on in this city, how you can make it better, where it's being detrimented, how it's being detrimented, by the way, as well. Like, do you care if it's detrimented, for X amount of turns, and that kind of stuff. I think I would try to keep it happy or content for a while. And then while was happening, the rest of the game was kind of unfolding around me. And based on like what my leader's perks were, or kind of like my lay of the land, what I kind of see the game trend going toward, like, I see my neighboring city, neighboring countries doing. I think from there, I would just kind of like pick like, all right, my opportunity to win, at least on this continent, is going to be this. And I think from there, I will focus a lot of my hub building in those cities around that. Now, if I was going for a science victory, not every city would have a campus, but 2/3 of my empire would have a campus, and then like half of those would have like all the buildings. That was kind of the thing I chased.
I think that's why you won. To your point, when you were going for a victory, I never got there, right? And maybe that was the problem, is that I was always kind of diversifying my resources too much.
Yeah, I just think like you just can't be good at everything in one game, and it's impossible. There's not enough resources. Like if you try to be good at everything, that's when you're not good at anything, and you're gonna lose to one way or another. I think really the faster you can kind of get a lay of the land and focus on what you think you're doing best, that's the best way to obtain a win. That's kind of my piece at it, I guess. Answer your question.
So how many different victories did you see, and did you do them all the same way? Did you get the science-based? Did you get the religion-based? What were your approaches and successes?
I definitely had a few losses in here. These aren't like, oh, bang, 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 bang. But I definitely got my total war, totally. My God, I can't say the word. I won. Yeah,
you broke it on me too.
I beat all the capitals. I ruled the world.
Nice.
I did one of those. I did it. My first. That's the word. I'm not going to try to say it again. My science victory is my first one. That was and I never rage. Oh, I did at the very end. I take that back. I almost did not rage war against someone, but that was because they were snowballing away from me in the science victory, and it was either launch an attack or lose, because
is snowballing a Matt term, or is that an actual Civ term that you've adopted?
Oh, that's me. That's
right,
that's a me term. It could be. I don't know. I have no idea. But so I almost didn't rage war, but then with my science, I built a nuke and nuked their science capital to slow them down.
Smart.
And then kept a navy around their capital just to make sure they didn't rebuild it.
Pretty good.
So I did that. There was another win I got too. There was a third one, I think. Definitely conquest, definitely science. I don't think I got culture. I tried really hard one game to do religion. I thought I had it. I thought I was trending the right way, and then there was a country in another capital that by the time we found each other, they were like just ahead of me, just far enough where I couldn't catch up. And they were already starting to, they hit my continent before I hit theirs, so they were already influencing before I could get over there. So
it's tough.
I was just unlucky. One of those like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So then, I ended up losing that. I was trying really hard to get that kind of victory. I feel like there's a fifth way of winning, and I don't know. Culture, science, war, religion. I can't remember maybe I only won 2 ways then.
Those are the only ones I can think of.
I may have been on my way to a culture win and stopped playing it. Or maybe not on my way to a win, but that was like a game I was focusing heavily on culture. I was keeping all the great works. I was digging up archaeological sites, all that fun stuff.
There's a science victory, a cultural victory, a religious victory, a domination victory, and a diplomatic victory.
Oh, I definitely did not do diplomatic victory. It's hard.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Trade with a country that's doing better than you? Fuck no. You're going to send nukes and a navy at it.
Oh my gosh. I was doing pretty good with that for a while. The sending envoys to different other city-states and things like that. I was building it up. There was one game I did where I had like the what is it? I've never said this word. I'd never seen this word until this game. Suzerainty?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Same over here.
Like, never, yeah. Suzerain. Anyway. But yeah, having that, I was looking down that little, like, leaderboard of it. Like, I had most of them. But that was also the one where I was trying to push my religion everywhere. And that, to Matt's point, you really can't, you can have a couple of different, not all the way. Something will falter. The thing I did notice, though, is that once I started to understand a bit more of the game, I did start having a lot more fun. And I started spending way more time with the game. And I'm sure this is no shock to anyone who's played this, you included, but playing through the game, you quickly... I mean, the game even jokes about it when you go to save and quit, where it's like one more turn, right? But like, you kind of have that in your head where you're like, there's always something in production, or always something moving, or always something that's like about to be the next phase of whatever. So it's always nice to see how that's going to turn out.
It's crazy because, like, yes, there is usually something, and something happens every turn, but then somehow, some way, not even planned this way, but just by some happy accident, you all of a sudden see 5 turns out, you're going to have 7 things. Like, you have 4 new productions you're about to start in cities, your cultural thing you're chasing is done, your science thing is also done in the same turn. Like, and then, like, it turns into, like, oh, the here and there, once every 2 turns or whatever, turns into like, oh, I'm 5 turns away from this crucial thing. I gotta see it, and then 1 turn turns into 5, and then you do that, where it's like, well, now I gotta see my results, and then there's 2 more turns, and then next thing gets done.
There was one night
to fall into it.
For the listeners, Matt and I have been playing a lot of Halo Infinite, and I texted Matt to see if he wanted to jump on, and he was busy or off for the night or whatever. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just play by myself for a few minutes. And I came down and never even turned on the Xbox. I was like, oh, wait, I have to play more Civ. Let me jump in. And it was 7 when I sat down, and it was 11:45 when I looked up and went, oh, it's 11:45. I gotta go to bed. it does suck you in where you don't realize that you haven't moved in hours. You've just been staring and watching things move across the screen, and numbers go up and numbers go down, and people move and people die and people grow. It really is a compelling and I don't know. It's like a vacuum. The one thing I did not find, and I'm hoping you can say, "Oh, you idiot! It's right there." I never found a way at the end of a game, win or lose, to see a time lapse of all the civilizations. I feel like that's a cool feature that could be implemented where you just can play it back. I'm sure you can watch the charts play out. Like you can see the evolution of how each civilization did with whatever. Here's the science. And I think I've seen those charts in the game where you can see it was at this point that Greece pulled ahead or Norway fell behind.
Okay, I'm not crazy. Okay.
Well,
I have an answer for you. I could have swore I've seen this. I just couldn't remember where. And I am right. I have seen it. It is in older Civs. It's not in Civ 6.
Ah, man.
And it's a missing feature. And evidently, according to user, never mind. I'm not going to say the user. According to a user in this thread on r/Civ, it wasn't in Civ 5 vanilla either.
Okay. Yeah, so. It would just be a neat thing, just like at the end of a game, just hit play and just watch everything get built in real time. And wouldn't that be neat?
Yes.
See where all the people went, where all the ships went, cities fall, rise.
Especially with this being grid based, you can see the colors of the nation expand, and then you can have different colors within different charts to kind of fluctuate, like the science or whatever. Yeah,
it'd be so cool. I would love that in the end. It's like that's the reward or a reward for victory or failure or whatever. It would just be a nice bow at the end. Did you have any favorite quotes that popped up? This game does a really nice thing where as you invest, I
should have wrote some down because I don't remember any of them now.
You go through, you'll do your science research or your you'll unlock a new
great
government
something.
type. Right.
Oh, sorry, not
any of that stuff, right? And it'll usually be quotes from historical people. The one that I noticed when I unlocked research on rocketry for the first time, I had a quote from John Carmack. One that I didn't know he said, but one that I thought I liked this a lot. He said, "Rocket science has been mythologized all out of proportion to its true difficulty." Which is true, because everybody throws around that stupid adage that, it ain't rocket science. And everyone just assumes rocket science is the most difficult thing in the world. And I'm sure that Carmack's quote here in context is more like, it is difficult. It's not impossible difficult the way that people make it seem, but it is difficult and it is intricate and it is everything that it is. That was fun. And I didn't expect him because he's the first name I saw that was more contemporary. Although I swore there was a George Carlin quote in there too at some point.
I think I saw George Carlin's name pop. I wrote down none of the quotes. So I don't remember any of them, but I know I laughed at a few of them.
Yeah.
But I feel like I remember seeing George Carlin's name.
All right, then I'm not crazy. Yeah, there were a few where I was like...
You could just be projecting it though.
I could be. But I remember there were different quotes from different, I don't know, just actual people, these are all actual people too, but people that would line up with some of the world leaders that you're seeing in here, right? Where it just made sense that if you've got Teddy Roosevelt as a representative for the United States, yeah, it makes sense that you've got a quote from Abraham Lincoln, so to speak, or whatever. But to have Carmack and George Carlin, it's a different layer. Yeah, the closest I ever got, I did not pay attention to what was happening in another nation and ended up, they won by science. I wasn't paying attention to that at all. And I was I have a screenshot of my stats from when it ended. And I had over 2,500 gold, over 2,000 faith points, religious points. And like the next closest with Faith was 408. The next closest with Gold was 182. Like I was killing it in those regards. Didn't even look at, and even my military strength wasn't too bad. I was 192. I was in second place, come to find out, where Africa had 367. And ultimately they got the win in science with 157 over everybody. Well, they got way further than that, but yeah. It just, it's the way she goes. Are you returning to Civ anytime soon?
Looking at what's coming out, just didn't, not to date this too much, but what's coming out real soon, but in late January here and, late February, I don't see it happening anytime soon, but this is going to be one of those games where at some point there's going to be a weekend where I dive head first again. Who knows? Last year I played it. We were all in the Discord watching the Game Awards together, but the entire time I was playing a Civ game in the background, and maybe that's my yearly check-in with Civ.
The old Jeff Keighley. The thing, and I put this in my review, and I probably wrote it better in my review than I'll say now, but the thing that I dislike about Civ and games like this isn't Civ exclusive. I just bought Cities Skylines VR for PSVR 2 a couple months back, and I did the same thing there. This game, to my point earlier, and what you pointed out, like, you need to fail to learn to understand the system and how to do better. The problem I have with these games, any game where you're starting from nothing and building to this thing, is that after that point of failure, you've watched everything grow to that perfect point, and it's like,
that's tough.
I've got to start over again. Like, that's the part that makes it really difficult to want to try again. In some instances, it is exciting, where it's like, okay, I know what went wrong. I'm going to do this next round completely differently. I'm going to make this my focus, and you can learn and build. But there is that element of just like, it's like building a sandcastle, right? Like you slowly put it all together, and like the second that one thing crumbles and it's just gone, it's like,
yeah,
do you really want to go through it again? Like, you remember how long it took to get there? It's so much. And
the thing, I don't know, it's similar because you have to go through the same tropes, like, building the settler, get in the next city. There are things early game you should probably be doing every time, which is, tedious in a way. But I feel like I was always playing with a random leader.
Mm-hmm.
I think having that mix up of, you don't know, or at least playing like that, like, you don't know what you're going to get. So you don't know until like the loading screen how to start preparing for your next thing, because your leader has so much of impact in how you approach. Even if it's like a dumb perk in the early like ancient era or whatever, it's still like, if you use that perk properly, it gets you like a leap somehow in some category if played correctly. And no, that's what, in that game we were playing together. I asked Joe specifically to play at least a little bit of a game together, just so that we get that multiplayer experience, because I always thought that was like a unique aspect of this. Like, risk is fun because you get this, you have these alliances that you're building on the board, but it's all like dice rolls and war and things like that. I think, this is like if chess had multiple boards on it all of a sudden.
Yeah, because I loved playing Risk as a kid, but to your point, it's all about literal world domination. Like, it's just, how far can you take your units across the map and whatever. And I loved it. Like, we would play that, like, family all the time. It was like one of the key go-to board games, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know why we all loved it. I think we loved it because we liked my brother and I especially loved the set that we had. It was like the nice little metal pieces that were shiny. Yeah, it was really nifty little like anniversary edition. But to your point, like, it was cool seeing everything spread, and you'd slowly take everything over, and then that's it. and there's only one way to do it, right? But like this, there's so many caveats, there's so many elements, there's so many things that you think you're doing right that you're doing wrong, or
Yeah, I mean, we never, at least that's the way the game was going. We never stabbed each other in the back. We were playing friends the entire time. But like to that advantage, we could have, I believe, like we could have like jointly, because we were declared allies, like jointly researched a thing to increase like our science faster, like things of those things that you just don't get that in Risk at all. But no, and then like. Another aspect, like in our game, was it France? France was like having like a huge religion boom, and there seemed to be no one stopping it, and it was snowballing out of control. And one of the things I didn't know how my game was going. Right, I was just kind of like playing to my perk, and I was England, and I just so happened to have a lot of coast near me. And one of England's big things is bigger perks is like naval units or whatever. So I was kind of like slowly building a navy, and then I got like a great admiral because I had a harbor. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, I should build like the Great Harbor Wonder. And I started amassing gold left and right because of the amount of trade routes I was getting from it. And then, all of a sudden I kind of had this like sitting navy. I never had much of an army, but I had a sitting navy. Just kind of like, they were my scouts for a while because I had nothing better to do with them. And then, there was no stopping France in the religion department. None of us, neither of us had a religion.
Yeah.
We even have a religion. We just had like the ideology. And there was no stopping it. And it was like, they're going to win unless someone takes care of this. I have an army that's just sitting here doing fucking nothing. And you were friends with everyone. Somehow everyone fucking hated me. So I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter if I'm warmonger and everyone fucking hates me already anyway. So I just went around and started bombarding all their coastal cities.
It was a fascinating experience. Like, just to see, like, especially like, because also like we were hanging out. Like we were on Discord.
Oh yeah, we were in Discord. Yeah.
But like, we weren't talking a whole bunch that afternoon. We were just kind of like hanging out, playing the game. Like we're kind of, focused in on like, what am I doing in this section? What am I doing in this? Like, that's kind of how those games go. And we're like chatting a little bit, but then like the most audible I heard Matt that afternoon and anything was just like, all right, you're tired of France's religious stuff? Because I was complaining. I was like, man, I'm trying to like get a religion started and push, but I think I'm going into this way too late. And Matt's just like, do you want France to Catholicism is a problem? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what's happening? Like, and next thing I just hear like explosions at the top of the screen.
Well, I had you fucking spying because you had delegates in France. Because again, you were friends with everyone. Everyone fucking hated me, so I couldn't see inside of France. I was like, what cities had the religious the holy districts? Right. Which ones had the holy districts? Yes. Like, give me a coastal city that seems very important for their religion.
Yep.
It would be bombarded.
Goodbye, Bordeaux. That was a lot of fun. That part was really cool. And I think that part, like, if you can get together with people who know how to play the game, even if you don't, or the other way around, if you can bring someone in and at least, like, shepherd them through, I think it can be a lot of fun to just see how things play out. It's neat.
There's tons of customization with that, too. Like, you can, like, pick the map. You can kind of pick where the starting settlers, because you don't start with the cities technically, like, your starting settlers are. So like if you wanted to try to foster someone into, you could put you and their nation right next to each other, you're obviously gonna have to draw your boundaries or whatever, like play fair, but you could do that and just try to like unite it, like try to do whatever you need to do to win. And you have all those customization options, a bunch of sliders. It's wild. And the save game's cool too. We didn't load back in, but we did a practice, like kind of save and load in case we wanted to pick it back up. At any point, either one of us could save the game, and then it saves as our own files. So like if I screwed up at turn 50 and it's turn 150 and we're just playing together and it's like not working for me or whatever, I could go back, Joe could. I guess Joe could if he wanted to, but if I wanted to, I could go back and replay turn 50 without Joe and have his nation as an AI and kind of maybe see if I could have corrected my game or whatever. I mean, we have a save right now, and technically, like, my save versus his save is different because he logged off and then I hit turn over and an AI rolled his turn. So I'm one turn ahead because of dumb shit like that. But it's really cool, like, the opportunities there if you're playing together. Kind of have, depending on, I mean, we're playing with default AI settings. I know you can increase them, but, like, if you want the extra, like, human touch to it, you could start a game at 50, have all these starting things by humans and other players, and then, like, have that as, like, a fun benchmark to go off of for future games.
Yeah, I think there's elements like that make it really interesting. You can change, you kind of mentioned it in passing, but, like, change the continent layout. You can change the there's a lot in that
number
regard.
Of nations. You can go like almost as high or as low as you want.
This would be a neat thing if you could actually get a full suite of people to play together, to meet up online and play.
There is also asynchronous multiplayer as well, which
is cool.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know how long that would take though, because I assume it would go turn by turn.
It would have to.
So, but that's not bad. Like, if you just had this up running in the background and you're just kind of doing your thing whenever, and I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever committed to the law game.
Yeah. I mean, even this, like, if we got to a point where, like, I could see a world where, like, I don't know how frequently, right? Because, like, you think about those, like, if you got together with people, if you had a group that you play board games with or something, once every couple months or something, this could be one of those. It is long though. Like, even the session we didn't finish, and we played for 5 hours, I think, that day.
We started time.
Like, yeah. But if you did it where it was like, all right, let's just do like 2 hours tonight. We'll do 2 hours in 2 weeks or something. Like, little things like that where you're just kind of like jumping into it. Yeah, there's a lot to the game. And it makes sense that there's only one of these every so many years, right? Because there's so much that you can uncover and learn and whatever. Before we rank it, Matt, is there anything we didn't cover or anything you noticed during playthrough that you liked, loved, hated?
I am a big fan of all the background music that was happening and, like, the little sound effects.
Yeah.
There's like a couple. There's like one banger that like very like war heavy theme, but like it was like, oh yeah, get the tribe, because it's like ancient civilization at this point. Like, let's get the tribe going and attack these barbarians. I like the little. It's not much, but I like the little back and forths on the tiles between the two units. I liked how, like, land units would typically, like, start with 4 people, and as they were getting weaker, go to like 2, and kind of have that visual piece of that. I like those little things too, visually and audio. The game looks samey. It's going to. It's just the nature of this type of game, but it is kind of pretty to look at once you get, like, especially as you start going through the ages and your cities get built up and you kind of look in the little districts and you can kind of see your little buildings and stuff that have been built.
I liked zooming in and, like, really watching things, and it was cool.
Yeah, again, samey. Once you see a campus, you've seen them all, and you're gonna see a lot of them probably. But yeah.
But no, I think this game's really, really great, really, really well done. It is. I think with anything in life, you get out what you put in with a lot of things, whether that's any experience, right? Like, if you go into it half-heartedly, it's not gonna, whatever. But this, I think, especially was evident that, like, you will get out of Civ as much as you put into it, and it requires a lot of input and a lot of understanding and patience and learning. But it's, I think, rewarding. It's long-term rewards. I think that's the big thing. It's not short-term rewards. It takes a while, but it's fun.
It's attainable too.
It
It's
is, yeah,
attainable.
because I went from very quickly, like in a matter of 10 hours, really frustrated that I was not understanding or not whatever, to feeling pretty competent and confident. And, of course, that confidence was short lived when I failed the game multiple times, but it's still like you get to a point where you understand what's going on to an extent that you can play and whatever. But yeah. Where do we rank it? So, listeners, if this is your first Free Cheese podcast, I recommend you go to thefreecheese.com/the-list, because over the last 3 seasons of this podcast, we've been building a list of soon-to-be 84 games. And every week, we focus on a single game, talk about it, spend some time with it, and then we place it on this list arbitrarily to see how it ranks amongst everything else we've played so far.
Again, knowing this game is not for everyone, I am high on it.
I'm in the higher side of it. Do you have a number or a range that you're looking at?
I was. This is tough because if it's not here, it falls quickly. I initially kind of looked in like that 20 to 15 range.
Okay.
Where did you initially look?
I was initially looking in the 24 to like 32 range.
Okay.
Because
So
I
that's a third
started
of our
climbing,
list.
but when I hit Parasite Eve, I like Parasite Eve better than this, and that's where it fell. And then I was like, well, I like Hypnospace Outlaw over this. And
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying, where like if it's not like in that like Max Payne No Mercy area, it's gonna fall quickly. Because I think I agree that I like Parasite Eve better. I think I like Burnout better, just moment to moment. I think I like Donkey Kong. Maybe I am lower on this than I think then. Because then I started asking myself, like, Sonic and all, it's not my favorite karting game, but I mean, I'm not like adamantly beating the drum that Civ's better than that. And then yeah, Max Payne is good. I might see Civ above that, but under Undertale and WWF No Mercy.
Yeah,
we dated already, but congratulations, we're all on Netflix.
Yeah. So, are we?
Maybe I'm down then. I'm more towards your line of thinking.
All right.
Oh,
are you above Year Walk?
I think I am. I don't know about you.
I think I'm above Year Walk, but not above Hypnospace. How does that feel?
I would be above Hypnospace, but I am not going to fight that fight because it's not going to climb much higher.
So it's the new number 25.
Hypnospace.
We're good with that.
Yeah, Hypnospace's big thing is it's just dumb approachable, and you don't have to play the game to have fun.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like the polar opposite almost.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna put it there. Civ 6,
25.
our new 25. Congratulations to Sid Meier.
Again.
Wait, again?
Well, he's done 6 of these.
Oh.
And Pirates.
I thought you meant that we had another Sid Meier game on the list. Did we?
No.
All right.
But next season, Sid Meier's something.
I might have broken my record, and I know you're going to be mad at me, but I've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Jesus.
games.
Oh my God. I'm sweating out over
season 13.
I'm sweating out over like the first 6 games on this year.
I'm already planning ahead, Matt. That's just the way I roll. There's too many good things. And there's one that I know you're going to be like, oh, thank you for finally making this happen. We'll see. We'll find out. Find out next year.
Yeah, find out. Yeah. Yeah. After Ring Fit Part 2. What episode did you call that last week?
586 is when that happens.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
So, yeah.
For Joe's reveal of his games.
Yeah, somewhere in
that he won't even do, because we won't reveal them all, obviously.
Yeah, no. Yeah, the 5 I've got now, who knows what makes the cut. Yeah, anyway.
You know, with this math, if you're at 5 per month, you're gonna end at 60.
We could do 60 games in a year. Start doubling them up.
No.
Have you seen Jeff Gerstmann's been doing like 5 NES games a week?
Jeff Gerstmann streams on Twitch and gets paid to do it.
Fair enough. He's also not beating all the games, so there's.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not beating all these games necessarily. I was 0 for 2 until, well, I don't even know if you beat Civ, to be honest, but I was definitely 0 for 2. Yeah. 0 for 2 coming into this one.
Well, I'm happy for Civ. I'm happy we got to play Civ and get one of those on the list. I'm also happy for next week because we won't be adding something to the list. Again, yeah, we've had a couple of these early on in this season as we've changed up our format a little bit. But next week, we're doing our next Wii Sports Killer with Super Mario Galaxy 2 and our first impressions on that game so far. We got a really, really stacked schedule in the next few weeks with some games getting added to the list. You can check out the sidebar on any article on the website to see that. But we've got Gravity Rush, WarioWare, Demi Kids, all coming up to a podcast near you. Until then, tell a friend about the Free Cheese Podcast. Send an email to podcast@thefreecheese.com. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.